I'm back there throwing that sound out from behind this big tree. It makes it sound a lot better when it goes through the woods and like out across the field like that. Probably in the video it seemed or sound like there should be a hen standing behind that tree. I've had them on the other side of the tree from me plenty of times. I'm Garen Carlin, owner of Mosses Creek Outdoors. Again, that was the Wayne Wood call, yipper call there. That's what you heard. I've been putting down a few notes. I'd posted a couple of days ago that I was going to do a video on like some things to do, things not to do, when to hunt, where to hunt, or maybe why, just some different things when it comes to not just turkey hunting, but killing turkeys. There's several different things how I work things. I'm not telling you that you don't have to do these certain so-so things or absolutely do not do these other things. You do things how you want. I'm just going to kind of tell you what works best for me when it comes to killing turkeys. And I know this stuff works because it's paid off way, way too many times for me. But I've had to put down some notes to be able to remember this stuff so I won't forget something. The time of the day, it really doesn't matter, you know, the time of the day. Of course, the first thing in the morning is important. You know, turkeys are known to gobble more of a morning, but I've had some occasions where they gobbled up through the middle of the day just as good as they did of the morning. But it's really more about knowing your area. If you know the area you hunt really well, you know, the less time you're going to have to spend locating and driving around and listening. You know, if you know where there's spots where you know the turkey's going to be there, you know, he may not be there right at the present moment, but you pretty much know at some point in time throughout that day he's going to be there. That's kind of what I look at. Now, I mean, if I had a spot of ground that, you know, I didn't know the lay of the land, I didn't know the hills or the ridges or the creeks or where fields were and stuff like that, you know, I'd have to be out and around a lot more. But I like to be out early of a morning as good as anybody. But I've killed a bigger number of turkeys on up into the day, like between 10 and 2 o'clock during the day. I've killed some of my biggest turkeys between those times. So you kind of have to just judge that for yourself based on how much information that you know about the area you're hunting. But it's just all times of the day. But I've killed a few real early, but not near as many as I've killed during the middle of the day. And I've killed a pretty large number of turkeys in the evening also. Another thing is the weather. I still go on days, you know, when it's raining or threatening to rain, because if you've got a place to go, like a blind to get in or something, and you can be dry, if it was to start raining, you know, you'll be in the dry, especially overlooking a field. That's where you want to be. That's where you want to be when it starts at raining, because turkeys, based on my experience, they don't like to be up in the woods when it's raining, because all those water drops are hitting those trees and leaves and all of that, and it's messing their judgment up on their hearing. So these turkeys, they'll get out around these fields when it starts raining because they're relying so much upon their eyesight. So remember that. You know, if it's raining, you need to be around a field somewhere. Shells to shoot and why. To start the ammunition subject, for years and years, I killed no telling how many turkeys with 2 3/4 shells, number 5 shots. There used to be a brand shell that you could buy, and I think it was discontinued or something, or the company quit manufacturing it. The name brand was PMC. It was a black shell, 2 3/4, but it had long brass. And they was some kicking shells. But I killed several turkeys with those shells. I mean, they were some killer shells, number 5 shot with a heavy brass. And I hunted with those for years. I never even killed a turkey with a 3-inch shell. And eventually I did, you know, after several years. And I got like a 3-inch nitro turkey load or Winchester and like a number 4 through a 6 shot. I like number 5s better than anything. Number 4s too. I'd rather have not jump below 5 and get number 4s versus jump and get number 6s. I've killed turkeys way on out there yardage wise with a 3-inch number 4 shot. But nowadays I shoot this high dollar stuff that everybody talks about, the Apex shells, or TSS, whatever you want to call it. It's still a 3-inch shell, but it's in a number 9 shot. And it's just like it ain't nothing to kill a turkey, you know, at 70, 75 yards. You know, if you're hunting up in the woods, kind of like right around where I'm standing right here, and you're expecting a turkey to be, you know, like under 50 yards, you know, the ordinary turkey loads are fine. But when you get like right out here, when you get out here and expecting to shoot out into this field, you know, if you get one to come in and say he locks up out there at 65 yards, I mean, you can shoot him stone cold dead with one of those Apex shells. I mean, it's almost like a screen out of a storm door flying at him. But even that I'm hunting with the Apex shells now, I still carry the ordinary 3-inch turkey loads, and especially if I'm going to be hunting out of a blind. And the reason I do that is some of the areas that I hunt, I get to see the turkeys a good ways before they ever get into shooting range, the biggest part of the time. And I'll have my gun leaning up in the corner of the blind, unloaded, and have it slid open, but I'll have both shells laying there by me. And if he's gonna come on in and get pretty close, I'll just shoot him with one of those 3-inch regular loads, and I'll save that $11 TSS shell. But if he locks up out there like at 65, 70 yards, I'll just put that TSS in there and get him with that. But that's just a little idea, you know, on carrying both shells. I kind of run into that and started doing that by accident a couple of years ago. I had my Apex in my gun, but I still had some of the other shells in my pocket too. So that's how I come up with that little idea. So locating. A lot of people wants to know about locating turkeys. I don't locate near much as I used to, but that's because I know the area and the ground that I hunt. You know, if you're gonna start hunting a piece of new public land or something like that, you know, again, you don't know the layout of the area, you don't know what's over here, what's over there, you know, if there's a creek down there, a ridge over there, you know, you have to go around looking for turkeys, you know, and you have to locate, use locator calls, you have to locate them a lot more, but I hunt the areas where I hunt enough that I just kind of know already ahead of time where the turkeys are going to be, or where I pretty much think they're going to be. So I know the areas that, you know, their travel areas and where they're going to be passing. You know, if they're not here now, well, they're usually here by a certain time later on, you know. But I like owl hooting with my mouth. I've been doing it several years, and had some old gobblers seem like that they liked it pretty good. So I like to get out there early of a morning and And oh, 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 oh. Go like that and get an old turkey to answer me. Uh, so just remember that, you know, you need to look ahead of time on some kind of mapping or something like that if you don't know the area you're hunting. But if you know the area real well, you know, things just falls into place a lot quicker. Okay, I got another thing here I'm going to talk about. Being less prepared / equipped for the hunt. There's been lots of times that I've went out and hunted and I've had backpack, a vest on or something other. I may have 15, 20 calls with me. A seat, decoys, extra shells, and who knows what else. I've killed turkeys that way. But I have not killed as many turkeys that way as I have on the trips when I carried less gear, to say is the best way to put it. I carried a lot less gear. You know, there's days that come along and I think, well, I've got time to hunt today, but I don't have all day to hunt, so I'm just going to go hunt for 3 or 4 hours. I mean, I went out before in less than an hour's time, you know, kill a turkey and be back to the vehicle or back to the house or wherever. But what I'm calling being less prepared for the hunt / equipped, I may just sling my shotgun around my shoulder, throw a seat on my back to sit down on, and then just have 1 or 2 calls. I've been out lots of times. A wing bone call is the only one call that I had. And I've killed, seemed like a lot more turkeys on those quick hunts like that. It's amazing. And I honestly believe that some turkey hunters needs a U-Haul van to haul everything that they carry. Walking and calling at the same time. I learned about that trick in 2003, opening day of the season. I hunted with a wild turkey legend, Earl Mickle, from Beach Lake, Pennsylvania. He was an author. He wrote multiple books on turkey hunting and turkey call makers. And he learnt me about the little trick of walking and calling at the same time. A lot of people says don't walk and call at the same time. But what the conclusion boils down to with that is how experienced are you at hunting / calling. You know, if you know what you're doing, you know what to do when it comes to that subject. We killed 2 turkeys that day, 11 o'clock. And those turkeys were 500 or 600 yards away from us, and it wasn't nothing but a swamp between us and where they was. So he just decided to set up. He gonna try to call those turkeys all the way to us. And I bet you it was 15 minutes, those turkeys were all the way up there where we was at. And what he done to flip the trigger on those gobblers, we was sitting on the edge of a hill. It's kind of like a hill that's in front of me here. There's a hill coming down, and it kind of flattened out, and then where this field is would be like a swamp in a creek bottom. Well, he got up, and he started walking back and forth up the edge of the hill. He'd walk up, walk back down, walk back up, walk back down. And he was calling at the same time he was walking back and forth. So, and what that sounds like at a distance, that sounds like a real hen, you know, and she's walking back and forth. It's amazing what realism that will add to your hunt. And you'd be surprised what it'll do to those gobblers sometime. And how fast it will, in fact, bring them in. I want to talk about funnel points. You need to learn your areas wherever you hunt, where turkeys are really known to be hanging out. I've got two what you'd call real hot spots myself. Out of all the spots that I've got to hunt, there's two spots that's real hot spots that if I can even sneak in there during the day, if there's not a turkey there at that present moment, I pretty much know at some point in time that day there will be one there. I may have to deer hunt him to see, I may have to sit there 4 or 5 hours, but most likely there will be one through that specific spot at some point that day. I may go out and check 3 or 4 different spots, look, listen, call one thing and another throughout a day. And this one spot, my hottest spot, I can go to, say, that evening if I hadn't killed one earlier in the day. And you can get there, I don't know, like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, something like that. And there's going to be a 1 hour bracket that there's a turkey heavily likely going to come through there. It's a field coming down and cornering with the creek, and there's a steep bluff going nearly straight up on the other side of the creek. And turkeys love going through that funnel or corner, going from that field headed to roost. But the 1 hour bracket at that spot that I hunt is from 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening. If you're sitting there and you hadn't seen a gobbler come through there by 6:30, you're probably not going to see one. So, but most of the time there'll be one through there. So you just need to learn and get hot spots figured out like that. It'll really pay off in a hurry, and I mean big time. Ridges. Of course, a lot of people knows ridges are places that turkeys love to hang out. Ridge tops, they like to stand up on ridges and look down, overlook creeks and swamps. And they like to try to get hens to come in on those ridges. And turkeys here in West Tennessee, they like hanging out in creek bottoms and swamps too. A lot of states, they only hunt turkeys up in the big rolling hills and mountains and all of that. But here in West Tennessee, we got swamp turkeys big time. And sometimes they're hard to kill because you can't get to them because of all the swampy ground and sloughs and marshes and all of that. So, just learn your terrain. Warm/cool days. I've killed as many turkeys on cold days or more than I've killed on warm days. I probably heard the most turkeys gobble in one specific morning that I've ever heard in my life. That was the coldest morning probably that I ever turkey hunted. You need to watch your barometric pressure based on my experience. Get a barometric pressure app and put on your smartphone. Check that pressure because studies state that turkeys measure that pressure, and that pressure will determine how vocal they are. So I think it's from 29.9 to 30.2. Last year, the turkey I killed on opening day, I mean, he was gobbling as much as you would ever ask for. And I pulled out and I checked the barometric pressure, and it was right on the peak dot. So, I mean, I'm still doing some experimenting, with the pressure thing. I didn't start really digging into that till last year, but I believe it's true because, a lot of the days, you don't hear turkeys do much. They don't gobble much. But it kind of depends upon what the pressure is more than, the other weather conditions. Or to me, that's what it seems like. A turkey will remember where you called from. And how I'll get started to explain that is you may get a turkey to answer you over there early this morning. Well, at one point in time, you thought he was going to come in, but he ended up going the other direction or going over here. Later on, you know, 2 or 3 hours later, say if that was 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe about 10:30, 11 o'clock, he's liable to come right back to where you called from. I've had that to happen to me, and I've killed them that way before. I had the opportunity where I could just keep sitting there. I had 2 turkeys, near about killed them about 8 o'clock that morning, and they went off and made a loop around the ridge and came back down. And I had sit there in the woods and near about went off to sleep, and I heard something walking in the leaves, and I looked up, and it was those 2 gobblers. They were coming down the side of that ridge, getting ready to jump the creek to come over to where I was, to where I had called from earlier. And they jumped the creek, and they came right straight to that spot where I had called from, and they walked right up there, and I killed one of them. So don't never think that they forget that, you know, that sound. They remember that hen, or they remember where that sound was, and they're known to come back and check it out later. And one more thing, when you get hot spots figured out, you know, over there, over here, when you learn, you know, this is a hot spot, or that's a hot spot, that's a good spot over there, that's a good spot over there. Get you 4 or 5 spots marked out in your mind like that, or put down on some mapping or something, and learn all about them, and you know, sneak in during the day and check all those spots, you know. Just because, say, a turkey's not gobbling, don't let that turn you off enough to make you quit. So, I'm sure I missed a few things, even myself. I'm probably going to find something afterwards that I missed out to tell you, but I tried to tell you as much as I know and the best that I know how, as far as things that I go along with and look at and think about and do and don't do. You don't have to do any of these things, or one way or the other. I'm just telling you the best things that works for me. So I'll be bringing you more videos on more things to come. Until next time, I'm Garen Carlin, owner of Mosses Creek Outdoors. Thanks for watching.